Greetings and welcome to another video. I am Aaron Telford and this is Thursday the 1st of August 2019, and this video is the first in a series of videos which I've mentioned before that I wanted to make, where I talk about my favourite science fiction franchise, Star Trek. Now, I was born in 1981, and when I was a kid I'd be watching classic sci-fi shows like Space 1999, UFO, Thunderbirds, Stingray, Old Doctor Who, Time Tunnel, and the Giants. And these were all fantastic shows. I really enjoyed them, and it's where my interest in science fiction began. Now, when I was a kid in the 80s, I think it's possible I might have seen episodes of the original series of Star Trek with Captain Kirk and the crew of the USS Enterprise, NCC-1701. But to be honest, I don't remember. But that said, it would be in the 1990s onwards that I'd start being reconnected to Star Trek and watching it all accordingly. Because of that reason, I say that my first formal introduction to Star Trek was when I was at secondary school, which I attended between 1993 and 1998. And every Wednesday night on BBC Two at 6 p.m, they would show Star Trek The Next Generation, or TNG for short. And this would follow Captain Jean-Luc Picard, played by Patrick Stewart, and his crew, all on board the Galaxy-class starship USS Enterprise NCC-1701D. And when I was first watching this show, I had a bit of a divided opinion about it. On one hand, it looked terrible. It looked just bad. On the other hand, there were certain things about it which I really enjoyed and grew to appreciate. For example, one of the many things that kept me watching was I was really impressed by Patrick Stewart and his performance as Captain Picard. I never knew who Patrick Stewart was before watching Star Trek, but I was really struck by his performance on screen and everything like that. And like I said, that was just one of many reasons that just kept me watching. And when this was going on, there was a magazine called Star Trek Monthly, which I started to buy with my pocket money. And Star Trek Monthly that really got the ball rolling, if you will. It explained more about the Star Trek universe and the Star Trek mythology and the history of Star Trek, both in the real world and also within the universe of Star Trek. And there was interviews with the actors, with the production crew, there was behind the scenes articles, which I found really interesting. I loved this delve into what was going on behind the scenes of making each episode of TNG. And yeah, on top of all that, the magazine would also have free gifts going on, like little random things, but also you'd also get a free Star Trek book from time to time, a special edition. And that got me interested in reading the various Star Trek novels of the different versions of Star Trek that would later come out and had already existed as well. So there were a few things going on at the same time, which, when you add it all together, cemented my interest of Star Trek and me becoming a fan. And while this was going on, a new version of Star Trek would also come out, again on BBC Two, again at 6 p.m, only this time on a Thursday night. And this was Star Trek Deep Space Nine, or DS9 for short. and this would have Captain Benjamin Sisko in command of a space station. And from the get-go, from the very beginning, DS9 became my favourite version of Star Trek, because I just found that, as much as I enjoyed TNG, to be honest with you, as much as I grew up on TNG and enjoyed it, and I liked the characters and the storylines and various things about it, I became a proper fan of DS9, because that explored a side of the Star Trek universe that we never got to see with TNG. And also, I found the characters of DS9 a lot more interesting in many ways, and I found the storylines more interesting. So yeah, that was just amazing. I just loved DS9 from the get-go. And to this day, it's my favourite version of Star Trek. And of course, later on, in 1995 onwards, we would have Star Trek Voyager on the Intrepid class starship USS Voyager, with Kate Mulgrew playing the character of Captain Catherine Janeway. Now, I'll be honest, as much as I was looking forward to watching Star Trek Voyager, in the end, I hated it. And to this day, Star Trek Voyager is, in my opinion, the worst version of Star Trek. It's that simple. Fight me. No, seriously though, joking aside, I know that there are Star Trek fans who love Star Trek Voyager, and it's probably their favourite version of Voyager, which is fine, fair enough, I respect that. I've got no problem with that at all. It's just, in my opinion, Voyager is the worst version of Star Trek. So there. But during this time, while all this is going on, I got introduced to the first 10 Star Trek films. Star Trek 1 to 6, which was revolved around Captain James T. Kirk, played by William Shatner, and the crew of the original Enterprise, NCC 1701, later to become USS Enterprise NCC 1701A, both Constitution class starships. And yeah, my favourite films out of those first 6 films was Star Trek II Wrath of Khan and Star Trek VI The Undiscovered Country. They were just brilliant films. And then after that, you had 4 more films, this time revolving around Captain Jean-Luc Picard and the crew of the Enterprise D, later to become the USS Enterprise NCC 1701E, which was a Sovereign class starship. They were 4 films, as I said a minute ago, making the total number of Star Trek movies 10. In my opinion, I liked Star Trek Generations, but the best film about the crew of TNG was Star Trek First Contact, in my opinion. That's simple. While, on the other hand, I hated Nemesis. That was a terrible, terrible Star Trek movie. And the worst Star Trek film, by far, in my opinion, will always be Star Trek Insurrection. God damn it, that was a terrible film. Well, after all that was sorted, like I said, TNG, DS9 and Voyager would all run for 7 years. And as I just said, we would have 10 Star Trek movies. And during all this time, I was introduced or reintroduced, I don't know which word would be more appropriate, to Star Trek regional series. The adventures of the original Enterprise, the USS Enterprise NCC 1701, and the crew and its crew of Captain Kirk, Mr. Spock, Dr. McCoy, and I really enjoyed that series. I really enjoy the original series of Star Trek, and I'm really glad that I've now got all 3 seasons of the original series on DVD. So yeah, it's really amazing. After all that was sorted, we'd eventually get Star Trek Enterprise, which was a prequel series set before the original series, set 100 years before the adventures of Captain Kirk, and we had the Enterprise NX-01 and Captain Jonathan Archer and his crew. That was a good show. I liked it. It only ran for 4 years, but at the same time, while there were some good things about it, there were also some missed opportunities, things that they could have done better, and things that they should have done instead of other things. But I'll talk about all that in another video. And then in 2005, it all came to an end, with Enterprise being cancelled after 4 years. And after that, there was no more Star Trek. Until that is, 2009 happened. And that was brought about the first of a trilogy of films, first of 3 films, which was Star Trek 2009, Star Trek Into Darkness, and Star Trek Beyond. Now, before those films, there was one original timeline for Star Trek. Everything from Enterprise to the original series to TNG, DS9 and Voyager, and the first 10 films. That was the original timeline, and the Kelvinverse films, the J.J. Abrams trilogy, would be set in a parallel universe. So you had basically 2 separate Star Trek timelines, 2 separate Star Trek universes. And to be honest, I enjoyed the J.J. trilogy. I really do. Yeah, I'll talk properly about those films in another video, but there we are. I don't know if there was talk about there being a 4th Star Trek film in the Kelvinverse, but in the end that hasn't happened. And to be honest, I'm okay with that. If I had my way, there would only be 3 Kelvinverse films. There would only be 2009, there would only be Into Darkness, and there would only be Beyond. The Kelvinverse films would only stay as a trilogy. In my opinion, I'm happy with that, and that's what I would do if I had any say in the matter. So, but anyway, now everything I've just said so far about Star Trek and my own thoughts and opinions about Star Trek, I'll be talking more about in future videos. Basically be talking more about it in future videos. And we are now up to speed, except to say there's a new version of Star Trek out on Netflix called Star Trek Discovery. I've seen season 1 of Star Trek Discovery. I'm in no rush at all to see Star Trek Discovery Season 2. I'm not. I mean, Season 1, there were some really good things about it, things I liked, but the things that I didn't like about Discovery were just, bloody hell, all kinds of things I don't like about Discovery. It really annoyed me and really, really just disappointed me. It was just, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say at this moment in time, except to say I'm in no rush to see season 2. I might watch it eventually, but I don't know when I mean, not just, I don't know. Anyway, on that note, I'm going to end this video here. Thank you for watching this video. And like I said, this video is the first in a series of videos where I talk Star Trek and my own thoughts and opinions about everything to do with it. On that note, thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves, have a good day, and I'll see you all soon in the next video. Take care and goodbye.